Welcome to Overwatch Bug Busting Episode 2. Today we'll be looking at Roadhog's Chain Hook. Chain Hook is one of the buggiest abilities in the game, likely due to the fact that it has gone through many iterations to get to where it is now. If you want a good history of how this ability has changed, I highly recommend Akshon Esports' video, link is in the description below. Chain Hook, as the name suggests, is an ability where Roadhog throws out a long chain with a hook at the end of it. If the hook connects with the center of another player, it will pull the target and place them precisely 3 meters away from Hog. This is usually followed up by a quick one-shot. This ability may sound simple, but there have been numerous bugs and problems with this ability throughout its lifetime, and some that still remain. Some that we will be looking at today are the fact that Hook seems to have an extremely longer range than it should, Hook's interaction with non-player entities, and finally, Hook breaking when it seemingly shouldn't. So the first one is easy to debunk. Take a look at this clip of a hook that seems way longer than the hook's intended length. Hook has a range of 20 meters. Well, it's actually anything less than 21 meters, since the hook itself has some length to account for as well as the player models too. The hook has a projectile speed of 40 meters per second when it's thrown, and this continues until the chain reaches the maximum length. If Roadhog gets booped in the opposite direction as someone is being hooked, they will be carried by the hook until they reach Roadhog. This can appear as if the range of the hook is huge, even though this is because of Roadhog being booped in the opposite direction. While a target is hooked, they cannot do anything because they're under a stun. Does this mean that theoretically you can keep a target stunned forever, and also carry them across a length of the map like we've seen in some other games?
Even been used. There's a hook. How? Brought all the way back to the base. Cleaned up.
Thankfully, Blizzard thought of this, and in my testing I created a timer in the workshop that times how long a target has been hooked for, and it seems that there is a hard time limit that a target can be hooked. This always ended up being exactly 2.7 seconds. It's worth noting that because the workshop has a hard limit of 0.016 second intervals, the time is actually 2.7 seconds plus or minus this 0.016 second interval, making the actual potential time interval 2.684 and 2.716 seconds. Okay, now let's look at how Hook behaves with non-player entities. It is well known that things like Diva Bombs and Junkrat's Riptire can be hooked like a normal player would, but there are actually some very interesting and strange interactions with other NPCs. There used to be a bug in which a Roadhog's hook could get stuck in a Junkrat trap and in Ash's dynamite. I tried incredibly hard to replicate this in all sorts of ways, but these, thankfully, have been patched out. Some interactions that haven't been patched out though and are strange are with turrets. You see, Roadhog's hook deals 30 damage, therefore it makes sense that Roadhog's hook should be able to collide with these objects to deal that damage to them. However, they shouldn't actually hook the target and displace it. When it comes to Torbjorn's turret, all that should happen is that it should do 30 damage to the turret and then deflect off of it. But this isn't the case. It sort of hooks onto the turret for a second and then retracts as normal. You can even get it to appear stuck for a brief moment under the base of the turret. This is strange, but it gets even weirder. If you slightly miss the turret, what appears to be a visual bug occurs. The hook looks as if it's going towards the turret, and for a split second it snaps to it. Then changes its target and carries on as normal. The same thing happens when there is an enemy player behind the turret. I'm going to call this hook retargeting, and it doesn't just happen with turrets. There have been rare instances and reports of it happening between players too. This indicates that the developers have deliberately put an exception into Torb's turret to stop Roadhog from hooking it, and for the hook to go behind it as it should. This is a visual bug though, so it shouldn't have any impact on gameplay, right? Well, the next set of tests shows that this bug may not be so visual after all. For the next test, I had a Symmetra continuously firing out her turrets, and I was trying to hook them. Since her turrets have 30 health, and Roadhog's hook also does 30 damage, the hooks should destroy them on contact and then retract. If firing from a specific angle, the hook tries to hook the turret that is closest. However, the game seems to realize that there is a turret behind this, and then tries to retarget to it. This causes the hook to break for some reason, either because it's out of range or for some other programming reason. This is problematic since this is an actual gameplay situation that should have destroyed the turret, so this retargeting can potentially cause the hook to break. Interestingly, when standing side on and trying to hook these turrets, the hook will occasionally break too. At first I thought this was because of the speed they were travelling at, but that doesn't seem to be the case, as I can hook players travelling at very high speeds with no problems at all. So clearly there is some strange issues with NPEs and Roadhog's hook. But the issue that seems to affect people the most is that hook occasionally seems to break on enemies for no reason. This has been an issue for a lot of players, and I could not replicate it using the workshop on its own. So, what on earth could be causing this issue? Well, the first thing I noticed was that in every reported case of this bug, there was no hit marker on connection. Since chain hook does damage on connection, there is normally a hit marker and a hit marker sound, but this particular bug doesn't have one. This told me straight away that on the server, the hook was never connecting, and gave me a theory as to why. Firstly, however, we're going to need to discuss packets. When a command is sent over the internet, it is split up into small bits of data known as packets. These will contain the information for where the packets need to go and how to put the packets back together into one big command when they get there. These will be sent through different routes all across the internet until they reach the destination and get reassembled into the full command that was sent. You may have heard the term packet loss. This is when some packets don't make it to their destination. This can be a problem since if not all of the information is getting there, information or specific commands might be lost. Luckily, developers can account for this by trying to smooth out and predict what the packet lost would have been. Now, why is this important? Well, my theory is that hook breaking could be due to specific packets being lost. So, what I did to test this was to try artificially increasing my ping and increasing my packet loss to see if this would lead to any issues with hook. Increasing my ping did not really affect the hook at all, and it behaved as you'd expect. However, things got very interesting when I increased my packet loss. At 40% packet loss, that is 40% of the packets going to the server are lost, the game seemed pretty normal, and it's clear that the developers have thought about smoothing and prediction, as the game still plays very smoothly. At 60%, things started to get jittery and you can visibly see the lag. Then finally at 70%, I was able to somewhat consistently replicate the bug we were looking for. This means that one of the reasons for this bug is that packets lost causes the server to think that hook missed, whereas the client for some reason still think that the player landed it. This could be a problem in their prediction or smoothing algorithm. So in summary, this bug occurs when the server sees the hook miss but the client doesn't know and thinks it's a hit. This could be down to packet loss or some other desync issue in some way between the server and the client. Thank you so much for watching. Content like this takes a long time to make, so it helps so much if you subscribe. And also join the Discord, link is in the description below. I stream every day on Twitch at Tayab TV. Once again, I've been Tayab, and I'll see you in the next one.